Sabbath service continues. This is the steward class. Want to go into a chapter that's some kind of interesting, Romans chapter 10, and we're going to deal with a lot of what's in there. But before that, Shemaiah, can you read for me? Exodus chapter 19. I want to start verse 1. Exodus 19, verse 1. You bring it out when you're ready. When you got it.
Reading from the book of Exodus, chapter 19, verse 1.
Uh-huh.
In the third month, when the children of Israel were gone forth out of the land of Egypt, the same day came they unto the wilderness of Sinai.
Okay, so this is right after the Exodus happened, when we left out the land of Egypt, we went into the wilderness of Sinai. Keep going.
For they were departed from the Rephidim, and were come unto the desert of Sinai, and had pitched in the wilderness, and there Israel camped before the mount.
Okay, keep going.
And Moses went unto God in the Lord, called unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thus shalt thou say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel.
Okay, so the Most High is going to tell Moses something very important to tell the children of Israel. Go on.
Ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself.
Okay.
Now therefore, if ye will obey my voice, indeed keep my covenant, and ye shall be in a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine.
So the Most High told the children of Israel, you guys just seen what he did to the Egyptians. So he's instilling this fear of the Most High in them. He's letting them know, you seen what I just did to the Egyptians. Now, if you're going to keep my commandments, I'm going to make you a peculiar people unto me. Go on.
And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel.
So the Most High said that we're going to be a kingdom of priests. That's where in First Peter it says you're going to be a nation of a nation of kings and priests, because we're going to be a kingdom. A kingdom indicates kings and priests. That's why we were given these laws, statutes, and commandments. We're supposed to teach the world to know the Most High. That's what it means, a kingdom of priests. We're going to be rulers. Kingdom indicating rulership and authority, right? So now drop that. You could go to Proverbs chapter 25, verse 2. So he said he's going to make us a nation of a kingdom of priests. Let's go to Proverbs 25, verse 2.
Reading from the book of Proverbs, chapter 25, verse 2. It is the glory of the Most High to conceal a thing.
So the Most High can hide whatever it is he so chooses to hide. That's his glory. That's what he created everything, so he can do what he wants with it. That's his power, his authority. Go on.
But the honor of kings is to search out a matter.
But the honor of a king is to search out a matter. So when the Most High revealed this word to us through the prophets, it's an honor for us as a nation of kings and priests to search out a matter within the scriptures. So we must diligently search this out, right? Go to 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 15. 'Cause that was Proverbs chapter 25, verse 2. Right? Timothy's in the New Testament, you find them with the T books. They're all together. Thessalonians, Timothy, they're all right next to each other. 2 and 15. You can read it.
Read it for the book of 2 Timothy, chapter 2, verse 15. Study to show thyself approved unto the Most High, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth.
So this is advice that Paul gave to Timothy, to study to show yourself approved. A workman that needeth not be ashamed. This is our work that we're supposed to be doing. He made us a kingdom of priests. So how can a priest rightly teach the people if we don't know this word ourselves? So we have to study to show ourselves approved, right? It says rightly dividing the word of truth. So we're going to continue going on because this is a thing that's echoed throughout the scriptures, that the Most High wants you to seek him out, search him out. Now, you know, if you look at the world, they'll go into space and the depths of the sea, but they're not going to find the Most High there. The Most High left his words here, so this is how we're going to find him. This is how we're going to search him out. So we have to diligently seek him out of this book. We got to find what he says. This is how we get to know the Most High. We're not going to be able to go up and hug the Most High or, you know, say, how you doing? This is how we get to know him, know how he feels, how he wants, what he wants of you and what he expects of you, right? So go to Deuteronomy 29, verse 29.
Reading from the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 29, verse 29. The secret thing belong unto the Most High, our power.
Again, there it goes, that same secret things, right? And we see example of this in the book of 2nd Esdras, where he says, can thou weigh fire? Can thou bring back yesterday? These are secret things that belong to the Most High. But, go on.
But those things which are revealed belong unto us.
But those things which are revealed belong unto us, to this nation of kings and priests, this kingdom of priests. Go on.
And to our children.
And to who?
And to our children forever, that we may do all the words of this law.
So it says, and everything that's revealed belong unto us and to our children forever. That's why it says that we're supposed to teach this to our children. We're supposed to teach them this in the waking up and the going to bed. This word in Joshua 1 and 8, it says, this word shall not depart from your mouth. So we're supposed to constantly be looking into the scriptures, searching the scriptures, right? Let's go to Matthew chapter 23, verse 36, right? Because we know that the word of the Most High is Christ, right? So this word of the Most High is ultimately what Christ said. Even though he gave it to Moses, this is ultimately words from Christ also. Hold on one second. Bring it when you're ready.
Read from the book of Matthew.
Salak, it's 36. 36. No, 36, Salak.
Good. Read from the book of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 36. But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only.
So this is an example of the things that only the Most High know, the things that are hidden, right? But we know that the word of the Most High ultimately is Christ, right? But he didn't give Christ that information yet. So let's go to Mark chapter 4, verse 10, right? So I was just showing that these are things, there's some things that even Christ himself didn't know yet. because the Most High didn't reveal that to him yet. But everything else that revealed, he ultimately gave it to us. He ensured this word to us, gave it to us. So it's our duty. This is an honor, as Proverbs 25 say. This is an honor that this word has been given to us. So it's up to us to diligently search through this word. Go on.
Reading from the book of Mark, chapter 4, verse 10. And when he was alone, they that were about him with the 12 asked of him asked him the parable. Verse 11. And he said unto them, unto you it is given to know the mystery of the kingdom of the Most High.
So it says, unto you it's given to know the mysteries of the kingdom of the Most High. Go on.
But unto them that are without, all these things are done in parables.
All these things are done in parables because it's not meant for everybody. So just the fact that in 2022, you've awakened to your God-given identity, your heritage, your culture. This is a blessing. Again, this is an honor again that the Most High has chose fit to wake you up to this. So now this is up to you to learn the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven. Go on.
Verse 11, and he said unto them, unto you it is given to know the mysteries of the kingdom of the Most High. But unto them that are without, all these things are done in parables.
So go on.
That seeing they may see and not perceive, and hearing they may hear and not understand, lest at any time they should be converted, and their sins should be forgiven them.
So this is why we're fortunate that the Most High decided to wake us up, to let us get this truth, because it's not given to everybody. This is given to us, to the people who call on the right name of the Most High, the people who understand what Yahweh's purpose was for, right? So we have to consider ourselves fortunate in this, right? So now I'm going to get to the meat of what this whole class is about, right? Let's go back to Deuteronomy 32 and verse 15. But I got a question before he starts reading. Anyone can answer. Salvation. Is this everybody could be saved? So, all right. So we all in agreement that salvation is only for Israel. All right, Khan. So I'm going to have a second question, but I want him to read first. Go on, bring it up, bro.
Reading from the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32, verse
15.
But Jeshurun waxed fat.
All right, so who's Jeshurun? All right, let's continue. Let's continue on.
And kicked.
Uh-huh.
And thou art waxen fat.
Uh-huh.
Thou art grown thick. Thou art covered with fatness. Then he forsook the Most High, which made him, and lightly esteemed the rock of his salvation. Okay,
so Jeshurun is if you look into like the Hebrew, the meaning of that word. If anybody's ever heard of the book of Jasher, that's where they get that name Jasher from. It's in Hebrew, it's Yesharawan, is Jeshurun, and it just means upright, like the upright ones. That's what Jeshurun means. So the upright ones is just another name for Israel, like Israel waxed fat. This is if you read from the top of chapter 32, Moses is given a prophecy of what's going to happen to Israel. Moses never made it into the land, but Moses is telling them that they're going to make it into the land, and then they're going to get lazy. You know, Jake, he get a couple dollars. He start feeling he's king of the world. Say he waxed fat. He kicked, put his feet up. This is how you could tell it's a black man that wrote this, a so-called black man. He put his feet up. He's relaxed, and this is what he's saying. Jeshurun waxed fat and kicked, and they forgot the Most High that made them and lightly esteemed the rock of their salvation. Go on.
I'm sorry. Can you just repeat what Jeshurun means again?
Jeshurun, it means upright. Upright. It just means upright, but it's like they're using it as a name, so it's like upright one. Go on, verse 16.
Verse 16. they provoked him to jealousy with strange gods. And abominations provoked they him to anger.
So this is saying that Israel, Moses is telling them that when we get in the land, we're gonna rest on our laurels. We're gonna forget the Most High. We're gonna fall in idolatry. Go on.
Verse 17. They sacrificed unto devils, not to the Most High, to gods whom they knew not, to new gods that came newly up, whom your fathers feared not. And
we know Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they believed in the one true power, the Most High. You know, in Genesis 48 and 47, Jacob said that the Most High guided him all his life. So we know that the father of the Israelites wasn't into none of these other strange gods that Israel ultimately fell to, you know, because we started worshiping the gods of the Canaanites, the Moabites. We started giving sacrifice to all of these things. So we forsook the God of our fathers. Go on.
Verse 18. Of the rock that begat thee, thou art unmindful.
And we see that today. Our people, they don't even consider about God. The thought of God, you know, it's more easy for Jake nowadays to just say that everything is made up and believe Esau and his science and whatever, than to even consider who they are, what their foreparents believed in, their customs. It's much easier for them to do it than to give thought. Go on.
And has forgotten the Most High that formed thee. Verse 19. And when the Most High saw it, he abhorred them because of the provoking of his sons and of his daughters.
So we provoke the Most High. But what's going to happen when we provoke the Most High? Keep going. 19.
Verse 19. And when the Most High saw it, he abhorred them because of the provoking of his sons and of his daughters. And he said, I will hide my face from them. I will see what their end shall be, for they are very forward generation, children in whom is no faith.
And that's a key part. He said, there are forward generation, children in whom there is no faith. You know, and I'm going to touch on that a little bit later on. But let's keep going.
Verse 21. They have moved me to jealousy with that which is not the Most High. They have provoked me to anger with their vanities. And I will move them to jealousy with those which are not a people. I will provoke them to anger with a foolish nation.
All right. Now, this is the part that I asked that kind of trick question, a loaded question. So, who is this foolish nation?
Esau.
You said Esau, other nations. No, but
Israel.
But let's read 21 again. Let's bring it back again.
Verse 21. I have moved me to jealousy with that which is not the Most High. They have provoked me to anger with their vanities, and I will move them to jealousy with those which are not a people. I will provoke them to anger with a foolish nation.
So it says with a foolish nation. So does this mean that this is everybody?
No.
Khan, right? So who is this foolish nation? That's right. We're gonna get to it. We're gonna get to it, right? And there's a reason I started at 21, right? At 15, because it doesn't say, but Israel waxed fat. It says, but Jeshurun waxed fat. The upright waxed fat. So the people that were keeping the law, statutes, and commandments waxed fat, right? But let's go to Hosea chapter. You got a question, brother?
Yeah, my understanding was the Most High used Esau to get us jealous, but I'm going to listen to the
Calm. Most are willing. Let's go to Hosea chapter 1, verse 10.
Read for the book of Hosea, chapter 1, verse 10. Yet the number of the children of Israel.
Hold on, Salaki. Let's start let's start from verse 2, chapter 1, verse 2. Is we have to read context to get the understanding.
Reading from the book of Hosea, chapter 1, verse 2. The beginning of the word of the Most High by Hosea. And the Most High said to Hosea, Go, take unto thee a wife of whoredoms and children of whoredoms, for the land hath committed great whoredom, departing from the Most High.
Okay, so this is the Most High, as he says, he used similitudes. So he's telling Hosea to get a wife of whoredoms, a prostitute, and take her to be a wife. Right? Go on.
Verse 3. So he went and took Gomer, the daughter of Dilbiniam, which conceived and bare him a son.
Uh-huh.
And the Most High said unto him, Call his name Jezreel.
Call his name Jezreel. Go on.
For yet a little while, and I will avenge the blood of Jezreel upon the house of Jehu, and will cause to cease the kingdom of the house of Israel.
So we have to understand at this point, the split had already happened. You have the kingdom of Israel and the kingdom of Judah, right? So this is going into how this jealousy comes, right? Go on.
Verse 5. And it shall pass, and shall come to pass at that day that I will break the bow of Israel in the valley of Jezreel.
Mm-hmm.
And she conceived again and bare a daughter. And the Most High said unto him, Call her name Leruhamah.
Leruhamah.
For I will no more have mercy upon the house of Israel, but I will utterly take them away.
Uh-huh.
But I will have mercy upon the house of Judah.
So the Most High said he will no longer have mercy on the house of Israel. This is the 10 tribes. The 10 tribes. He's no more going to have mercy on them, and he's utterly going to send them away. But he'll have mercy on the house of Judah. Let's go.
And will save them from by the Most High their power, and will not save them by bow, nor by sword, nor by battle, nor by horse, nor by horsemen.
Mm-hmm.
Now when she had weaned Lehuramah,
Uh-huh.
she conceived and bare a son. Verse 9. Then said the Most High, Call his name Laomi.
Lo-ami, right? Now, again, you have to have a understanding of language. Like, how do you say no in Hebrew? La'ah. How do you say people in Hebrew? Ami, no people. So he told Hosea that his son is supposed to be named Lo-ami, no people. Right? Go on.
For ye are not my people, and I will not be your power.
So the children are the signal of this prophecy. Once that child was born, Israel is no longer a people to the Most High. The kingdom of Israel is no longer his people. Right? So the kingdom of Israel is no longer his people. Go on.
Verse 10. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered.
Uh-huh.
It shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, Ye are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, Ye are the sons of the living power.
So it says, so the same place he told them that they're not his people, there it's going to say that they're the sons of the living God, right? And this is what Paul in Romans is writing about. Because if you like, I understand you see it as him using these other nations to provoke jealousy to us, right? But what happens is if you say that, now you're including other nations in salvation, right? Because Paul said, and we'll get into this, right? Now we're going to go on, but before, we're going to deal with Romans chapter 10. But before I do that, you have to read Romans chapter 7, verse 1. Because it's context. because Romans is a very good book, and once you parse it out to see what's going on in different times that he's writing, you understand he's not who he's addressing this to. You got it? Somebody got Romans 7 verse 1.
Reading for the book of Romans, chapter 7, verse 1. Know ye not, brethren, for I speak to them that know the law, how that the law hath dealt dominion over a man as long as he liveth.
So he's speaking to those that know the law here, right? Who's the people that knew the law? Contextually, right? When Paul was around, who was there in the land?
Priests know the law.
Who was in the land of Paul is a Israelite, right?
Yeah.
From what tribe? From the tribe of Benjamin. When Paul was around, who was in the land of Israel? What tribes was in the land of Israel?
Levi, Benjamin.
Salakias, Sharonia, what you say? The Romans was ruling the land, but what tribes was still in the land?
Only 3 tribes.
Only 3 tribes. So, there you go. Thank you. Right? So Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. And that's why Paul said he speak to those who know the law. The law was given to Israel. So the people who would know the law at this time, because the northern kingdom, the kingdom of Israel, had already left out the land a while ago. Their children was no longer living as Israelites. They had already forsook the law. The people who knew the law were Benjamin, Judah, and Levi, right? So Paul is speaking to them, right? Now, I'm not going to read from 7 all the way to 10, but this whole passage of scripture, he's talking to Benjamin, Judah, and Levi. Now, let's go to Romans chapter 10. And start from verse 1.
Reading from the book of Romans, chapter 10, verse 1. Brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to God for Israel is that they might be saved.
So he said he's praying for Israel. That's all 12 tribes, that they might be saved. Not just Benjamin, Judah, and Levi, who's in the land. That's why he's writing to Benjamin, Judah, and Levi, but he's telling them he's praying that all Israel could be saved. Go on.
For I bear them record that they have zeal of your
Of God.
God,
Mhm.
but not according to knowledge.
So they have a zeal of the Most High. We see this to this day. Our people, you ask 9 out of 10, Jake, if they believe in the Most High, yes. They don't know the Most High, but they believe in it in one form or another, whether it's Allah, Buddha, whatever. 9 out of 10, Jake is going to tell you, yes, he believes in God. So they have this zeal for the Most High, but not according to knowledge. Go on. Verse
For
3.
they being ignorant of the Most High righteousness and going about to establish their own righteousness, have not submitted themselves unto the righteousness of the Most High.
Because they don't know the law. They don't know the law, so they can't submit themselves to the Most High the proper way. Go on.
For Yahushua is the end of the law for righteousness to everyone that believeth.
So the Christ is the end of the law to everyone that believe, right? Now, that does not mean that because Christ came, the law is done, right? But this is talking about, hold where you're at. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 6. You can start at verse 24.
Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 24. And the Most High commanded us to tell all these statutes,
To do all these statutes.
to fear the Lord, our power, for our God, our good always, that he might preserve us alive as it is at this day.
So he says, the Most High commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear the Most High for our good always, that he might preserve us alive. Go on.
And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before the Most High, our Most High, as he had commanded us.
He says, so if we do all these things that are in the law, it'll be our righteousness, right?
Yeah.
Now, did we as a whole, all 12 tribes, did we do all these things?
Nope.
Even the upright ones? Nope. And here's one. Let's go to Deuteronomy 18, verse 18. Because we did the sacrifices, we kept the dietary laws, all that, right? But there's certain things we didn't do. Deuteronomy 18 and 18. Because remember, Paul said he speak to those who know the law. So Paul is actually given a lesson on the law in Romans. You know, but a lot of people, it might be too heavy for a lot of people.
Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 18.
Mm-hmm.
I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren,
Mm-hmm.
like unto thee, and
So-
will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him.
So in the law, it was prophesied that the Most High is going to raise up a prophet similar to Moses, and he's going to put his words in that prophet's mouth. And everything that prophet say, he says, and we're supposed to do all that prophet say. Go on, verse 19.
And it shall come to pass that whosoever will not hearken unto my words, which he shall speak in my name, I will require it of him.
So that's a part of the law. And when Christ came on the scene, a lot of the people believed, but the leaders and the chief priests and all of them, they rejected him. So they didn't keep that law. That's a law. That's a part of the law. We had to believe in Christ, on this prophet that the Most High raised up. We did not do that, right? So that's why Paul says Christ is the end of the law to our righteousness, because we kept the sacrifices, we kept the feasts, we did all this other stuff, but we rejected him who was foretold to sell. So we can't fulfill that law of right, because in Deuteronomy 6 it says that's going to be our righteousness if we do all of these things. But we didn't do all of these things, right? We didn't believe on Christ. So how could the law be our righteousness at that point, right? So, so let's go back to Romans. Romans chapter 10, right? Verse 5.
Verse 5.
Mm-hmm.
Romans chapter 10, verse 5. For Moses describeth the righteousness which is the law,
That's what we read earlier, Deuteronomy 4. That's the righteousness. Go on.
that the man which doeth those things shall live by them.
And we didn't do all of those things. Go on.
But the righteousness which is of faith speaketh on this wise, say, not in thine heart, who shall ascend unto heaven.
Uh-huh.
That is to bring Yahushua down from above.
Mm-hmm.
Who shall descend unto the deep? What is to bring up Yahushua again from the dead?
All right.
What said?
All right. So let's, because I want to go into what Paul is talking about, right? Because it sounds a lot of, that he's talking about in the law. This is something that Moses spake about in the law. Let's get that. This is Deuteronomy 30, verse 11. Because Paul, he's a doctor of the law. He knew what was going on. So he's quoting these stuff. That's why he prefaced it. I speak to those who know the law. That's why he's letting you know. And he's going into some stuff where you actually got to be aware of what's going on in the Old Testament for you to even understand it. Come.
For Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 11. For this commandment which I command thee this day, it is not hidden from thee, neither is it far off.
This is the same thing Paul is saying in Romans 10. Go on.
It is not in heaven that thou shouldest say, who shall go up for us to heaven and bring it unto us that we may hear it and do it?
Mm-hmm.
Neither is it beyond the sea that thou shouldest say, who shall go over the sea for us and bring it unto us,
Mm-hmm.
that we may hear it and do it. But the word is very high unto thee.
Very nigh unto
Very
thee.
nigh unto
And that's
thee,
what
Christ.
Paul is saying, that this word, the Most High made it so that this word ain't never far away from us. You know, we always have this word close at hand to us, you know, but that's what he's saying. So how didn't we get this when Christ came, when the word has always been right here with us? It's always been close to us. So why he's in a sense, he's rebuking Benjamin, Judah, and Levi. Like, if this word is so close to you, and you know in the law it says you got to accept Christ, why is it you didn't? This word wasn't far away from you. So let's go back to Romans 10, verse 8. Verse 9, Salah.
Verse 9. That if thou shalt confess with thy mouth the Lord Yahushua and shalt believe in thine heart that the Most High hath raised him from the dead, thou shalt be saved.
It says, so you have to, he's again speaking, Benjamin, Judah, and Levi. They have to confess that the Most High sent Yahushua and raised him from the dead, and then you shall be saved. That's how you can be saved. Go on.
For with the heart man believeth unto righteousness,
With your mind you believe unto righteousness,
and with the mouth confession is made unto salvation.
and with your mouth you confess it. You know, so you got to believe this and say this. You know, you can't just keep this to yourself like, I believe in Christ. No, you got to, this is something that you have to confess openly. Go on.
For the scripture said, whosoever believeth on him shall not be ashamed.
Now, for time's sake, I'm not going to go, but we all know where that one is. This is Isaiah 45, verse 17. The Most High said, Israel shall be saved with everlasting salvation. Whosoever believes shall not be ashamed.
Right.
So we already know. Paul is quoting. What we have to realize is, especially in Romans, when you're dealing with Paul, it can be a heavy book to read. But you have to understand, he's quoting a lot of stuff. He's quoting the law. He's quoting the prophets. So he's not just pulling stuff out of the air and creating a new doctrine. No, he's quoting what was already written before time.
Why does the church try to include all of that into everything?
That's why I'm doing this, right? To show you the Gentiles that jealousy, because I know the brother is a little bit like, I don't understand the jealousy, but you'll understand, right? Go on. Verse 12.
Verse 12. For there is no difference between the Jew and the Greek.
The Jew and the Greek, right? Now again, so is everybody a Greek? Is all nations a Greek? No, absolutely not. So this isn't talking about specifically, or you would have to, if you're taking this literally, you would have to say, okay, only is Jews and Greeks, not even the northern kingdom could get salvation, right? Just Jews and Greeks. And if you ain't that, you ain't getting salvation. But it's talking about actually Hellenized, the Hellenists, the people, you know, the Hellenes can get this. Okay, go on.
For the same Lord over all is rich unto all that call upon him.
Mm-hmm.
For whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord
Shall be saved.
Yahweh shall be saved.
Uh-huh.
How then shall they call on him whom they have not believed?
So now he's asking the question, right? Because he started this with brethren. Verse 10, chapter 10 says, brethren, my heart desires for all Israel to be saved. The 10 tribes is out of the land. Benjamin, Judah, and Levi's in the land. So he's asking this question: how can the other 10 tribes believe on him who they never heard of? This is a question he's asking them. They have never heard of Christ. How could they believe on Christ? Go on.
And how shall they hear without a preacher?
And how should they hear about Christ unless somebody tell them about Christ? Go on.
And how shall they preach except they be sent?
Mm-hmm.
As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of them that preach the gospel of peace.
So this is basically Paul just telling you that's his job. His job is to go out and teach the people who see the Christ came to the Jews, right? But not just the northern kingdom either. Because if you read in Maccabees, the Jews, there was time when the Greeks had people basically having to reject their nationality. It was unlawful for a man to even call himself a Jew. So those people also who was living outside the land that didn't get a chance to hear of Christ, they also have to hear about Christ. And that's what Paul is saying. Like, that's his job, that Yahweh Shah gave him that job to teach these people who never heard of Christ. That's his office. Peter's office was for the Jews. His office was for the Israelites who never heard of him. Go on. Verse 16.
Verse 16. But they have not all obeyed one gospel, for he says, sent, Lord, who hath believed our report.
So he said, but they have not all obeyed the gospel. For Isaiah said, Lord, who have believed our report. This is Isaiah chapter 53, verse 1. Let's get that. Let's get that. And that is actually a prophecy of Christ coming. So 53, verse 1. Isaiah 53, verse 1.
Read from the book of Isaiah 53, verse 1. Who had believed our report?
Mm-hmm.
And to whom is the arm of the Most High revealed?
And we know Christ sit at the right hand of the Most High. So he's saying, who believed our report? Who believed the prophets? And to whom was Christ revealed? Go on. Let's deal with 53 for a second, too.
For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, and as a root out of a dry ground. He had no form nor comeliness, and when we shall see him, there is no beauty that we should desire him.
So he says, this is Christ. This is a prophecy of Christ coming. So, it says that he'll have no comeliness, so he wasn't like somebody that's just going to attract everybody's attention, like he's just going to blend in. You won't even notice the Messiah unless hear what he's saying. Go on.
He is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief.
Mm-hmm.
And we hid as it were our faces from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him not.
And this is talking about Christ. We see all of this happen, that he was despised and rejected. There's many different instances when you're reading in the accounts that Christ was basically, that they were looking for Christ to lay hands on him or to do, do things to him. So we see that he was rejected when he was here. Go on.
Surely he had borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of the Most High, and afflicted. So
when they say smitten of the Most High, they mean crazy, like mad. Like they did. It says, surely he borne our griefs. What does that mean? So he's bearing our transgressions. He's bearing our transgressions. It says, but we didn't esteem them. We esteem them as being smitten of God, like he's crazy. Go on.
But he was wounded for our transgression. He was bruised for our iniquities, and the chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes he are healed.
Exactly. It says
We were healed.
he was wounded for our transgressions, for our sins. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him. So Yahushua bared all of this on his shoulder, and he did all this for us. Go on. Let's go back to Romans chapter 10. Let's finish this up. Let's go back to 16.
Romans chapter 10, verse 16. But they have not all obeyed the gospel. For it says, said Lord, who hath believed our report? So then faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of Yahushua.
Of Yahweh. It says, so faith come by hearing. So that means, so faith, it says, faith comes by hearing. So the people that was already out of the land, how can they hear of Yahushua unless somebody gets sent to them? And somebody, Paul got sent to them. Go on.
And faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of Yahweh. But I say, have they not heard? Yes, verily. Their song went unto all the earth, and their words unto the ends of the earth, of the world.
So this is talking about that Israel was prophesied to be dispersed into all ends of the world. So if Israel was supposed to be scattered into all four corners of the world, and Christ just came to Benjamin, Judah, and Levi, how is the other tribes supposed to hear of Christ? So Paul is just basically getting into his own position of what he's doing and why he's doing it. That he has to go out and preach Christ to these people who never received Christ, who never heard of Christ, right? And that's what he's saying, that they it says their sound went into all the earth and their words unto the end of the world. Israel was already dispersed by the time Paul came on the scene. Go on. Get to the next verse. 19.
What I say, did not Israel know?
So how come Israel didn't know? And this is the part that how come Israel didn't know that? What he's asking is, how come Israel didn't know that there was going to be a time when the Most High is going to bring back all his people? But they can't come back to the Most High unless they know of Christ, right? It's impossible, because Christ was the Lamb, the ultimate sacrifice for us. So it's impossible for the northern kingdom and even the dispersed of the southern kingdom to come back to the Most High if they have never heard of Christ. So this is what he's saying. So how did Israel not know this? We have the law. How did we not know this? Let me get that real quick in the law where we're supposed to be dispersed. I believe it's in chapter 4. Yes, 4 and 26. Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 26. And this is why he says he's speaking. We have to understand. We have to really go into the word and get the understanding who he's talking to. Four and 26. Four and 26. Come.
Reading from the book of Deuteronomy 4, verse 26. I call heaven and earth to witness against you this day, that ye shall soon utterly perish from off the land, whereunto go over Jordan to possess it. Ye shall not prolong your days upon it, but shall utterly be destroyed.
So Moses is telling that Moses never made it into the land of Israel. So Moses is telling them that when you get to the land, you're not going to last long there. The Most High is utterly going to destroy you off the land. Go on. Verse 27.
And And the Lord shall scatter you among the nations, and ye shall be left few in number among the heathen, whether the Lord shall lead you.
So he's saying, you know, because this is the point, right? That we're all Israel, right? We're all the children of Israel. For us to get back to the Most High, we need Christ. We need Yahushua. We have to go out and teach our brethren about Yahushua. Then he mentions is that with our mind we believe in faith, but with our mouth we confess it. So we have to get our brethren to believe in Christ in their mind and confess Christ, you know. But we can't do that unless we go and reach our brethren, right? All right, so now let's go back to Romans, and we'll finish this up with 19 again.
Reading from the book of Romans, chapter
10, verse 19.
10, verse 19.
Mm-hmm.
What I say, did not Israel know? First, Moses said, I will provoke you to jealousy by them that are no people, and by foolish nation I will anger you.
So there's that foolish nation, right? And what is this provoke to jealousy? And again, I said originally Jeshurun, right? We have to understand Jeshurun means upright ones. Judah, Benjamin, Judah, and Levi were the upright ones. We was the one keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. But ultimately, let's get this in Isaiah. I want to show something in Isaiah. Ultimately, we failed. Why? Because we didn't have faith in who was supposed to come. So that's what allowed us to be provoked to jealousy by the Most High. Now, it's like, I don't want to use a carnal example, right? But you got a girlfriend, and now she going out, like you think you being faithful to her, and now she be like, you know what? I think this guy here give me more attention. I'm gonna go see somebody else. Now you're gonna get jealous. This is what it is. Judah, Benjamin, Levi. We thought we were being righteous. We thought we were being upright, but ultimately we failed. We failed in that we didn't believe in who was to come. So now by us falling, by us not accepting Christ as a whole, now it opens up the Most High saying, see, you guys aren't that good. Now I could bring back the northern kingdom, the dispersed, because you guys fell. So now you all need, and this is ultimately it's what it's talking about with grace. We all need that mercy, because we didn't want to give the northern kingdom and the dispersed any mercy, because we were so high and mighty being upright. We didn't want to give them that mercy. But now, because we rejected Christ, we also need that mercy. So now we can see eye to eye with each other. You know what? We all fell short of the glory of God. So now is the time to bring back the whole family. But let's get that in Isaiah 28.
What verse?
28, 16.
Reading from the book of Isaiah 28, verse 16. Therefore, thus with the Most High.
Thus saith the Most High.
Therefore, thus said the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
The Lord Most High.
Mm-hmm.
Behold, I say in Zion.
The whole I lay in Zion. So he's going to set something in Zion. I lay in Zion. I set something in Zion. Go on.
For a foundation stone.
For a foundation, a stone. And what's the foundation? A foundation is something that you build on. It's important. It's the most important part of a house. He lay in Zion that foundation. Go on.
That believe it.
Now, Zach, Salakia, Zach, read this. Read 28:16. I want somebody to read it clean through, because it's very important that we get a clean reading of this. Go on.
Read out the book of Isaiah, chapter 28, verse 16, right?
Uh-huh.
Yes, sir. Therefore, thus said the Lord Yahweh, behold, I lay in Zion for a foundation, a stone, a tried stone, a precious cornerstone,
A precious cornerstone.
a sure foundation.
Uh-huh.
He that believeth shall not make haste.
He that believeth shall not make haste. This is the same thing that they're speaking of in John chapter 3. He that believeth shall not perish. So if you continue reading Isaiah 28, and I don't want to go into the whole thing, but if you continue reading, it's talking about the destruction that comes for everybody in Zion, which is Zion is another word for Jerusalem. The people that were in Jerusalem, the destruction that's coming for everybody that don't believe. And that's ultimately what we've seen happen in 70 AD, that a lot of people died. Some survived and went into the rest of the world. But this is what happens. The Most High laid that in Zion. He put it in Jerusalem, that cornerstone, right? And we see in Daniel, that same stone, it also alludes to that that same stone is going to smite the statue at the feet and destroy the statue. So we know that that stone is Yahushua, that everybody's got to believe on. This is who you have to believe on. He laid it. So let's go back to Romans and just finish up this, because I don't want to be too long-winded on the Stewart class. 10, and I believe went last verse. Right? Yeah, let's do 19 again, and then yeah, Isaiah 10 and 19 again.
Isaiah.
No, Romans 10 and 19.
Oh, yeah. We're in the book of Romans 19, right?
10 verse 19, come.
We're in the book of Romans chapter 10, verse 19. But I say, did not Israel know?
Mm-hmm.
First Moses said, I will provoke you to jealousy about them that are no people.
And when did they become no people? We read it in the prophecy of Hosea. The Most High said, for thou art not my people. You're not the people anymore. So he said he's gonna, and remember, he said he's gonna bring them to jealousy by a nation, a singular nation, right? So now, let me get this in Genesis 35. Because we might say, well, how is that possible? Israel is a nation and we're getting jealous of another nation, which is Israel, right? So Genesis 35. And we really have to, and that's why I prefaced this, we got to go through these scriptures, study, and get the understanding of what's going on. We could read 35 and 10. Genesis 35, verse 10.
Read out the book of Genesis, chapter 35, verse 10. And Yahweh said unto him, thy name is Jacob. Thy name shall not be called any more Jacob, but Israel shall be thy name, and be called, and he called his name Israel.
So this is when the Most High changed Jacob's name to Israel. Go on.
Verse 11. And Yahweh said unto him, I am God Almighty. Be fruitful and multiply, a nation and a company of nations shall be of thee.
So you see that? We're not just one nation. It says we're a nation as a whole, but we're also a company of nations within us.
And kings shall come out by the loins.
And kings shall come out of thy loins, right? So this is the point. That's how we're able to be the nation that's provoked by the same nation. It's just the split. We're two. At that point, we became two nations. We're no longer one nation. We're the kingdom of Judah and the kingdom of Israel. The kingdom of Judah, and that's why it doesn't say Israel waxed fat. It says Jeshurun waxed fat. The ones that's keeping the laws waxed fat. The upright ones. And then he's going to provoke us to jealousy. Right? Now let's finish this Romans 10. Go on verse 20.
You know, the book of Romans chapter 10, verse 20. Isaiah is a very bold and but Isaiah is very bold and said, I was found of them that sought me not. I was made manifest unto them that asked not after me.
So you see that? He said he was found. The Most High said, we could see this in Isaiah 65, verse 1 also. This is what he's quoting. He says, I was found of those that sought me not. Because now all this time after the northern kingdom then separated, they wasn't worried about the Most High anymore. They're living their life doing whatever they want. So that's why Paul was, and us in a sense, because we're still doing this to this day. We're going and we're teaching Christ to people who didn't have this understanding, right? So he says that they wasn't they caught up in Santeria and everything else, and all different kinds of madness. And this is what the Most High said, that he was found of those that didn't look for him. They wasn't looking for him. Yahushua gave Paul the ministry to go out and teach them. And we, in these last days, we pick up the mantle of that ministry to go and teach them. So in a sense, we're doing the same thing. We're teaching them who wasn't even looking for him. I wasn't looking for the Most High, but I was found of him. You wasn't looking for the Most High, but you was found of him. This is Israel he's talking about. This isn't talking about any other nation outside of Israel. This is only us. We were found of him. We wasn't looking for the Most High. We was looking for Caesar Borgia. We was looking for the God of our own understanding, not the God of the Bible. But the Most High said he was found of them who wasn't looking for him. Let's finish it out.
Yeah. Verse 21. But to Israel he said, all day long.
But to who he said?
All day long.
But to who? But to
Israel.
But to Israel. Notice he's not talking about just Benjamin, Judah, and Levi. And this is what we have to understand, that we are the Jews in Paul's time, the Jews, the kingdom of Judah, Benjamin, Levi, and Judah. They did not make up all 12 tribes. They were just 3 tribes. That nation that he was found of, the nation that is going to get us jealous. And if you want to, you could read the story of the prodigal son. This is all, Yahushua made that parable, and this is talking about the same thing. The son who stayed with his father the whole time got jealous of the one who went away. This is what it's talking about. We got jealous when the Most High said, okay, it's time for the northern kingdom to come back because you guys fell. That's all that jealousy is, that we wanted to keep the Most High all to ourselves. And with that, I'm going to wrap up the class. Any questions anybody have? All praises. Tawada, Tawada.